Thank you very much, all of you, because Bangalore is the only city I know where you can get a full house for a book launch on a Sunday morning. In many other cities, you can't get this crowd at 7 o'clock in the evening on a weekday. You've been given a lot of details about the book. I want to talk about the climate in which this book appears and why it is important for us to revive the memory of the freedom struggle. In 5 years' time, not a single freedom fighter will be alive. Not one. That means that your children, the younger generations, will never get to see, engage with, listen to, touch, speak to a bona fide, genuine freedom fighter. The last of those will be dead in 5 years. The youngest person, now in the book there were 15, 16 characters. Out of whom 8 have died since we started the finalization of the book. 7 or 8 are alive. And the youngest of those alive, the infant, is 98. The oldest is Babani Mahato. She would have turned 105. This is the golden generation of India. Theirs. All the people in this book, you've already had speakers tell you, were ordinary people. Lakshmi Indra Panda, as she says. By the way, when she went to the INA camp, Subhash Bose told her, in this camp you will only be called Indra. You will only be called Indra. Because calling her Lakshmi would create confusion with Captain Lakshmi Saigal. So he called her Indra. And for me, the most important question she asked me, because I never hit anyone with a bullet, does it mean I'm not a freedom fighter? Because I never went to jail, does it mean I'm not a freedom fighter? She was challenging the basis on which we classify freedom fighters. The problem is, we have 2 laws, 1972, 1980, Swatantrata Sainik Samman Yojana, that law. It gives 7 classifications, which I call the 7 laws of bureaucratic suffering. The way it is defined, it rules out most women because their role was different. Their role was not going to jail. It rules out most revolutionaries because, can you believe, it actually explicitly says, if you went into the underground voluntarily, you do not qualify. You must have been declared a offender by the British. You are asking the colonial power to certify the freedom fighter. So many of the people in INA would not qualify. Then many other revolutionary underground people, they didn't go to jail, they died. They just died. They fought the British and died. So, it's a very peculiar way that thing was drafted. And as Renuka Patra told you, her mother never got that pension. But I will tell you something more about Lakshmi Panda. More than the pension, she wanted the recognition that I also fought for my country, that I also sacrificed. I also took risks. Most of these people, they wanted the recognition which we denied them. Now, there is a government, just like the NBT exercise, there is an official website on the freedom struggle. Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav. The Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav overall initiative, the first budget was 110 crores. You know, I run a website and I marvel at that kind of money. If one got 5% of that, we could make our website permanent. But what is there on that website? On the Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav website of the Government of India, there is not a single photo, not a single article, not a single story, not a single picture, video, illustration or quote from a living freedom fighter. Not one. Not one. Not a single photo of a living freedom fighter. There are many photos on the site, and you all know whose photos. There are 5 photos of the Prime Minister on the front page. So there are photos, the same photos that appear on every COVID vaccine certificate, and the same photo that will appear on every bus ticket after 2024 elections, if depending on the result. So, this was and then, by the way, recently on the logo, you set up that site for freedom fighters. It has a logo, 75th year of independence, celebrating 75 years of independence. Then suddenly 5 weeks ago, another logo came up to it on the freedom fighters page. Next to the logo of freedom fighter, 75 years, G20 logo. What does G20 have to do with your freedom struggle? So the G20 logo is there. It is just, younger people may be forgiven by looking at that homepage for thinking that Narendra Modi was your greatest freedom fighter. Because only his face is there. Yeah. And though he was born after independence was achieved. Please know that also. There were all these people were from such different strata. When we ask, yesterday I was asking school children in a meeting, what do they tell you about the freedom struggle? And they told me, sir, in our school, that portion has not come yet. I said, why not have that portion in August? Why wait till December or January? We are in serious danger of losing our history, of losing our historical memory, and we have already robbed the young of their history. When you ask them who are the freedom fighters, see, your independence did not come from a bunch of returning Oxbridge elites. By the way, they repeatedly said this. Gandhi repeatedly said, you seek at least 10 references in collected works. I was the vakil. That's what he said in the South African. I was their vakil. The struggle was that of the indentured laborers. Again, he says it after Champaran in 1915. He said that is when Mohandas becomes a Mahatma, when he realizes that only the energy of the peasantry and the workers can liberate the country. That was his being reborn. In 1931, Premabai Kantak wrote him a letter, a postcard of praise on what a great achievement he had made for the freedom. And Gandhi typically writes one line on the back of the postcard. Great men appear to be the cause of revolution. In truth, the people themselves are the cause. One line. In truth, by the way, that ultimate freedom fighter, Bhagat Singh, in his exchange with Shiv Varma, Pandit Shiv Varma, who was your UP CPM secretary and all that later, they're having an exchange in which Bhagat Singh says, in this grand construction of freedom, in this grand construction of liberation, in this grand building, we revolutionaries are only the gems on the walls. The foundation was not built by us. The foundation was built by the struggling masses. Therefore, I felt the need. See, most history is written with what you call great man theory. One great man came, solved all the problems. So that's why the book has 5 great women also. Because in all our stories of freedom struggle, we marginalize women. We don't because we have a particular understanding of the role of who is a freedom fighter. Women played a different role. They don't fit our definition, so we don't recognize them. Women in this country played roles that took greater risk. I'll tell you just about Babani Mahato. I spent one whole morning listening to her tell me, I am not a freedom fighter. My husband was a freedom fighter. You are 20 years late in coming to my house. He died 20 years ago. He went to jail and all that. And I was asking her about Gandhi and, Swadeshi movement. She said, do you think I had the time for all that? I was married at 9 and running a family of 25, joint family of 25. I did the cooking, I did the cultivation. Okay. So this went on. Suddenly, we realized her husband had got to jail for 13 months, 1 year. Many times he had gone. But suddenly we realized that her role was far greater than her husband's. It came like this. When I asked her, it must have been difficult for you when your husband went to jail. She said, no, it was much worse when he came back. Because every time he would bring another 20 people for me to feed. Then we understood. Who were those 20 people? At the height of the Bengal famine, when millions were starving to death, Babani Mahato was cultivating food, growing food, cooking the food, and feeding, apart from 25-member joint family, every day, sometimes for 2 months at a stretch, she was feeding underground revolutionaries in the forest of Purulia with her husband. Nothing her husband did equals that, the risk involved. Yeah. She didn't think that was a great thing. I thought it is the greatest thing I have heard. Yeah. Imagine when there is no food to be had and millions are dying of starvation in the famine. She is growing the food, looking after a family of 25. She is in her teens by that time. She is in her late teens or early 20s, and feeding all the underground. You know who those underground revolutionaries were? In the Quit India movement, Purulia became famous for the march on 12 police stations. And by the way, we should know the world of Purulia. I asked them, why was your Quit India movement in September? 29th and 30th, they said, sir, in those days, it took that much time for the news of Gandhi's call to reach us. There is no internet and no telegram service in their thing. It took them a long time to, around early September they got to know. Even the Odia revolutionaries told me this, that those in Koraput, they got to know late that there was an uprising somewhere else. So, this was the kind of people who did this. Professor has told you about Bhagat Singh Jugyan and others. The characters, you're looking at the golden generation. The characters in this. One of the hilarious scenes from the Badmash Gaon, 1942, they marched and they captured Sambalpur court. Then, when the police came there and they intimidated the police wanted to arrest them. And who were these three people who had captured the court? One was a farmer, one was an agricultural laborer, one was a tailor. And they told this police, are you British or are you Indian? If you are Indian, you take orders from us. If you are British, go back to your own country. Now the police were perplexed. They went to get a warrant to arrest them. But there were still some magistrates who followed the law and rules. The magistrate rejected the warrant. He said, there are no names here. These fellows said, sir, police said, sir, they're not giving us their names. Magistrate said, I will not sign a blank warrant without names. So they went to the deputy collector who said, Kuch to likho wahan. You put A, B and C as their names. So the police actually put A, B and C on the warrant and brought it to the court. Now these fellows were arrested as A, B and C and produced in the court. The hilarious part, the Peshkar or the clerk had to shout, A, Hazir ho, B, Hazir ho, C, present yourself. When they were sentenced to imprisonment, taken to the prison warden refused to accept them. He told the police party, do you think I'm an idiot? Tomorrow if these fellows escape, I'm going to have to tell my superior A, B and C have escaped. Whole night negotiation took place before they were admitted into the prison. They were sent to a criminal prison, unlike instead of many others who were sent to political prisons. They were sent to criminal prisons because they were Badmash. And they were very proud of telling me the name. We were Badmash Gaon. Even now we are Badmash Gaon. Then inside the criminal prison, they caused enormous damage. What did they do? The British was recruiting for the French front, for the war in France in World War II. Many Indians died. Thousands of Indians died there. They were offering 500 rupees to the family in case you die, and your regular pathetic salary. These three, Chamaru, Dayanidhi, and Pradhan, they started preaching to the criminals, saying, is your family worth 500 rupees? Are you worth 500 rupees? Is that all you're worth? Why should you go and die for these people? So many of the prisoners gave back the 500 rupees and said, we are not going. The next week, they were all transferred to a political prison, taken out of the criminal enclosure and put with the political people. Sankaraya in jail, he did the jail tour of Madras presidency. He was at one stage in Rajamandri prison, the yard that was kept, the prison that was kept for these political prisoners. He and many others had gone there, and the release order came saying everybody except Shankaraya. So he had the entire prison yard to himself. He said, every day I could walk. That's humor, that ability to laugh at what happened. He was 19 years old. He was a top student in the American College, Madurai. It was one of the top colleges in the Madras Presidency, after Loyola and Christian College. In his final year, Shankaraya is 15. He has founded the Tamil Poetry Society of the college. He played football and represented the college in the inter-university games. 15 days before the final exam, the top student was raided, arrested, thrown in prison, and only came out on August 14, 1947. Coming out on August 14, 1947, he doesn't even inform, he doesn't try to get in touch with his parents or family. He marches with all the other prisoners to the Madurai Tilagar ground to be part of the Midnight at Freedom rally. That is the kind of commitment. And when they were jailed in Vellore or in Rajahmundry, they went on a hunger strike because different classes of prisoners were given different qualities of food. They went on a hunger strike saying that everybody should get equal treatment in the thing. So he was in his 10th day of hunger strike. Inspector General of Prisons pays a visit. He comes there and he finds this 19-year-old boy reading Maxim Gorky's Mother. And the IG is startled and he asks him, 10 days you have not eaten a molecule of food, and you are reading literature and Gorky's Mother. These were, by the way, three things have happened after the book came. One, Shankaraya, the Tamil Nadu government, the Madurai Kamraj University and Tamil Nadu government have conferred him an honorary PhD from American College. Yeah, he was the top student, and he served his nation. He served the freedom movement. But look at the kind of people we are talking about. Stalin, chief minister, the minute he became chief minister, he brought a new prize, Tamil Nadu's equivalent of Bharat Ratna, Tagaisal Tamilan, the most eminent Tamils. First year, 2021, it was given to Shankaraya. Second year, it was given to Nallakkannu, who was his comrade from 70 years. One became secretary CPM, one became secretary CPI. Do you know what these two gentlemen did with the prize? Shankaraya accepted the prize and donated the 10 lakhs to the CM's COVID relief fund. The money, full money. Nallakkannu accepted the prize, donated the money, 10 lakhs, he added 5,000 and donated it to the CM's relief fund. We are going to lose these people forever. I'm saying maximum 5 years, maximum 5 years. I'm going tomorrow to take Shobharam Geharwar to Ashok Gehlot. That's where I'm flying this evening. Shobharam, he lives for one thing, and this will tell you who our freedom fighters were. He is a very cantankerous old man, he is very fit, walks faster than me. Why we are taking him together? He lives for one thing, the Swatantrata Sainik Bhavan, the freedom fighters Bhavan in Ajmer. He took me there and he said, do you see all the people around? It's a prime property in the middle of Ajmer Central Market. And he said, do you see all those fellows around? They are the real estate mafia they will grab this place the minute I die. That's why he said, I come and sit here every week. I will defend. This is the heritage which we give our children, our grandchildren, our future generations. Shobharam, by the way, is a Dalit. And you don't find many Dalits in the freedom books because it's not true that they were not participating. Actually, the Lal Sena uprising in Nagpur, I think it was 70% Dalit. Yeah, but history is always written by the victors, by the rulers. So we exclude women, we exclude Dalits, we exclude Adivasis. Adivasis began the independence struggle from immediately after the Battle of Plassey, when the Adivasis of Jangal Mahal arose in a uprising that lasted 40 years till 1806. Adivasis were the first to die for freedom, the last to benefit from it. That's who they were. So the book has Dalits, Adivasis, Sikhs, Hindus, it has OBCs, it has Brahmins, it has women, it has farmers, laborers, cooks, couriers. Your grandfathers and grandmothers, they made independence. And if you go back, if there are the young faces I see, you go back and talk to your grandparents, every family has a story of the freedom struggle. Because that's how great a movement it was. I just spent the last 2 weeks roaming in Odisha, going to the families of these freedom fighters and giving them copies of the book. This is the third language, 4, English, Marathi, Kannada, Telugu are out now. It will come in 6 other languages. And those who are still alive, honor them. I will only say one thing about Doraiswamy. You all know Doraiswamy very well. But there's a past to Doraiswamy. He was always very mischievous. There is a past to Doraiswamy that is so beautiful, which I don't know how many people know. As Professor said, he put these different titles. Actually, he was fighting in the Mysore Chalo movement. They came and closed down the Diwan Bahadur personally ordered that to close his paper. He moved to Anantapur across the border of Karnataka. There, one newspaper he registered under 6 names. Each time they would shut down a newspaper, next day the same newspaper would appear under Pauravani, People's Voice, People's Choice, People's Guide, People's Champion. He had 6 titles. And every time it would come under a different title. So now compare it to our media today. They will do anything not to be shut down and anything to make money from government advertising and from private advertising. I want to leave you with this idea. I want to leave you with this feeling that this nation of maybe 5,000 years, whatever, but I maintain that the freedom struggle was and remains the noblest chapter in Indian history. And we need to reach our children with the stories of freedom struggle. Understand this. A nation that does not know where it came from is a nation that does not know where it is going. A generation that has no clue where we came from has no clue where we are going. We really need to revive that spirit of the freedom struggle. And on one last thing, what did these people tell me about their understanding? Captain Bao, whom he mentioned, another cantankerous old gentleman who pulled off the biggest train robbery in Indian history. When they hit the Miraj Pune special goods train and lifted the payroll of the Bombay presidency. Okay, at least one tranche. Those days it was 19,500 rupees was one tranche, with which, by the way, you could buy, at the height of famine, you could buy 65,000 kilograms of rice. So that was a lot of money. Then they hit the Nashik Khazana and lifted 6.5 lakhs, which is about 6 crores today. Mallu Swarajyam, the Nizam's vizier personally announced a price on her head in 1945-46, 10,000 rupees, with which, by the way, you could buy 83,000 kilograms of rice after the famine. None of these people, when I spoke to them, they were all speaking, they didn't speak so much about themselves as about the movement, as about the struggle. And I had to keep bringing them back to their own role, to their personal role. They were talking about who inspired them, what did that. And I said, what did you do? What did you do? All of them left me with one lesson: the difference between independence and freedom. The book begins with one line by Captain Bhau. We fought for two things. We fought for freedom and independence. We achieved independence. What is he saying? All of them are saying freedom is a much larger project than independence. Independence, what is independence? Independence is throwing out the foreign ruler and establishing a nation state based on rights of citizenship and rule of law. That is what independence was about. They said freedom is a much bigger project. And I will say this: if we can look anywhere for what that bigger project is, it is at least in three sections of the most distilled idealism of your freedom struggle is in the Constitution of India. Not just the preamble, which speaks of justice for all, social, political, economic. Please note, I don't think it was an accident, sir. I mean, I hesitate to say this in front of Justice here, but I don't believe it was an accident that the first word after justice was social. Justice, social, economic, and political. They privileged the word social because they understood what sort of society we are. They privileged that. And for me, yes, okay, fundamental rights, they are the heart of the Constitution. But here you also have liberty, equality, fraternity, and Ambedkar's incredible speech on November 25, 1949, the last speech in the Constituent Assembly, when he gives the draft constitution and says, I do so with great apprehension. We have entered a world of paradoxes where we have democracy, we have democracy in politics, but no democracy in society and economy. We have equality in politics, but no equality in economy and society. And he warns us that this tension between the lack of democracy in equality in economy and society will one day explode this great edifice you have built. 74 years ago, and how true those words are, today's inequality in India is matching the gaps between the top and the bottom, is matching the levels of 1921. So, I'm saying, for me, the fundamental rights may be the heart of the Constitution, but for me, the directive principles of state policy are the soul of the Constitution. The right to work, the right to food, the right to health, many implicit rights and many explicit rights. And I will give you this optimistic note. The preamble, of course, is unrivaled. Two things give me hope. Just before the pandemic, in the anti-CAA agitation, thousands of youngsters across this country were protesting at their college gates, reading from the Constitution, reading the preamble, justice for all. That gives me hope. And the most underreported or badly reported event in the last 3 years, the Kisan Andolan at the gates of Delhi. The farmers who gathered at the gates of Delhi, your media will not tell you that it was the largest, greatest, peaceful, democratic, constitutional protest in favor of justice in the world in 30 years. The last major protest in the world for justice was Occupy Wall Street, 2011. 8,000 to 10,000 young people, techies mainly and others, they occupied Zuccotti Park in New York. We are the 99%, you are the 1%. That's what they told Wall Street. And they fought for, But the New York police threw them out. In 9 weeks, they cleared the park. Your Kisans, your farmers, lasted 53 weeks and they could not be thrown out. They resisted. They taught us the meaning of resistance. How many of you know that 720 farmers died in the camps of attacks by they were hit with water cannon, 78-year-old man hit with water cannon, and the government breaks the law of the land by damaging public property, 20 feet by 20 feet pits in the national highway they dig. They put up barbed wire fences, bring armored personnel. The mobilization against your farmers was greater than that we are seeing on the line of actual control with China. And of course they called them Khalistanis and all that. And these farmers showed you, they were, I would again, with due deference, I maintain that the farmers were not just fighting for MSP and loan waiver, they were fighting for every citizen of this country, because the farm laws bar the right to legal remedy. The farm laws, Articles 16, 17 of the APMC, this places the laws outside the jurisdiction of civil courts. When I addressed the Bangalore Advocates Association, I was trying to tell them why they should be worried about it. I said, Vakils are going to be the biggest losers. In all the district courts, 90% of the cases are farmers, land, contracts. Now, if you bar that, incidentally, Delhi Bar Council wrote a letter to President of India saying this law will destroy the legal profession. If I remember rightly, Article 32 gives me as an Indian citizen the right to legal remedy. That is one of the most important aspects of democracy. That if I am aggrieved by an action of the state or law or government, I have the right to approach the courts. These laws took away the right to approach the courts. Okay? And many of these clauses started coming in other laws like the Karnataka Cow Slaughter Act. Do you know what they say there? No action, no suit, no prosecution shall lie against persons acting in good faith under this law. So who were the good faith in farming? The good faith in farming was Ambani and Adani. Your media never told you that Ambani's personal wealth in 2021 was greater than the GDP of Punjab. Adani's personal wealth in 2021 was greater than the GDP or GSDP, as we should say, of Haryana. The farmers fought for you. They fought for every citizen. They fought to defend the Constitution of India, which was already violated in terms of the federal spirit when a central government passes laws which are on a subject that falls under state, agriculture. Right? The farmers were defending all of us. I think from the young people of 2019 and the farmers of 2020-21, we need to remember our job is defend your constitution. Defend your freedom struggle and its achievements. Resist the destruction of freedom, democracy in this country. Thank you.